What up, y'all? I hope you're doing well. I'm sitting here, I just got in from work, and there's like all these like major thunderstorm warnings tonight. I really hope it rains. My plants need it. All the irises are done blooming, and then my peony bloom is like getting ready to like have its final moments, and then the other buds haven't opened yet. So this is the perfect time to get a good rain. So there's thunder, and that's cozy, and I'm tired from work, and I've been like schwitzing, just like running around schwitzy all night. So I'm ready for hot shower, hot meal, and rain. I don't know about y'all. All right, let's get into the reading. So we're here for our weekly anchor message where we get our spiritual assignments for the week. And like so many times, like almost like, most of the time, our cards really aligned with the Torah portion today, which was talking about how when we embrace like challenges or times of uncertainty or times of discomfort, or when things aren't really going our way, and we embrace those as opportunities to grow more strength and persistence and grit and discernment, like all of those moments, trust and endurance, like these are the moments where if we can embrace the challenges, that kind of elevates us and sort of lifts us through the struggle, the tribulation, the process, and it awakens more light in us that actually ends up surrounding us in protection and blessing. And so it sort of paves the way, it elevates us to have divine inspiration. The Torah portion today was talking about how there's this realm of endless light that is the light of miracles, but it's too powerful for the common person to connect with. And so the more that we elevate and become more and more righteous and do that soul alchemy and correction to become more like the Creator and overcome like our shadow nature or our weaknesses or our tikkun, then we become like, we reveal more light within us, we become more righteous, and we become more trustworthy to wield that kind of influence and that kind of higher light that channels through, that gives us foresight and awareness and sort of like psychic perception and understanding and prophecy, and even channeling through healing and miracles and blessings and having the fulfillment of our manifestations and things of that nature. But that light is set aside for the people who prepare their vessel and who do the work to serve God in the purpose of that soul work and that soul development and revealing that inner light and breaking through our shells of klipat, which is like the negativity that just builds up over that light, over lifetimes and over our current lifetime. So it's not just given out to anyone for free. It's like set aside for, it's like the more you purify your heart and your consciousness, and the more goodly you become, like in a pure nature on the inside, and the more you're the more you're motivated by sharing and repairing the world and doing good, then the more you awaken your inner gifts to be a powerful influence and wielder of energy. But if you're a selfish person and you're only seeking to gain for yourself or to control life, then you're not trustworthy with those kind of powers, and they aren't awakened in you to wield, right? So you're kind of like going through life with less protection and less direction and less inspiration, because it's like, the point is to kind of awaken that within ourselves through our own desire and the effort that we make to to make that connection and to build that relationship, that internal relationship with the Creator. It doesn't just come for free, because it's valuable, right? And anything we get for free, we don't really value. So that really aligns with our message today. We got from the Wild Unknown Archetypes deck, we've got the Mentor, followed by the Prayer, followed by the Womb. And then we also had these two cards come out, which were together, which were the Queen, which was with us last week, and we have the Comic. And then underneath Mentor, we've got the Chariot. Underneath the Prayer, we have the Queen of Swords. Again, she was with us twice last week. And then I believe the King of Swords came up at the end of the week, but the artwork had a feminine character as the King of Swords. So lots of this feminine energy around the swords and the realm of thought and communication and clarity. And then underneath the Womb, we have Queen of Wands. And then also the Queen here with the Comic that kind of ties it all together. So I'm going to pause this and you guys can listen to the audio really quick and look at the layout, and then we'll come back and we'll talk more. Oh, by the way, I saw I had a subscriber and on my Substack, and I recognized I recognized your handle from YouTube. So thank you for following me over there. I'll let you guys know when I start making the paid content consistently. So I'll let you know when that's available. But thank you for following me. In the meantime, my free Substack has basically all my work in one place. So you can see it as like one big portfolio in order that it comes. So you guys, when I show you the pictures with these cards, earlier in the day on Monday, Wednesday, Friday is when I pull the cards and I take the picture and I write up a blog and I post it. Usually the home post is on Instagram and I share it everywhere else. So that will go to Substack. And so that way you can see the post earlier in the day if you don't happen to catch it in the feed on YouTube. And you can read it ahead of time and be working with the message in advance before you see the video when we go more deep into the message. So just in case you're interested. And my Substack and Patreon will be the same content. It's just like some people like one platform better than the other, just so you know. So it's both the same free content and it will be the same paid content. But my handles for the Patreon and Substack is the Elizabeth Rose. And then there's a corresponding like YouTube channel for that, and like all the other social medias like Facebook and Instagram. I'm not on TikTok anymore. It just I wasn't jiving with it. Okay, so I will pause. You can listen and then we'll be right back. In order to overcome this anxiety, which can seem more like disembodied existential crises, we have to embrace the opportunities that life presents through times of inevitable pain and darkness, as they are the very wombs we are shaped and forged in. The more we embrace these times as opportunities to grow and strengthen our trust and connection to the light of the Creator, the more influential we become. And that's with all the energy and vibration, but also when communicating ideas with others. We're building momentum and our clarity has never been so sharp. But sharpness can either bring precision or harm. So, like a sword, we must wield it with care. The Queen has been present a lot lately. So there's a heavy emphasis on cultivating our internal world and strengthening our inner peace and stillness, which is what is exactly required in order to connect with divine inspiration. Try to soften your edges by approaching life with a sense of humor. This is an effective coping mechanism to get closer to the vibration of acceptance, as long as we don't become flippant or sarcastic. I do think that facetiousness is a little different. Humor will warm up your outlook, your approach, and your overall mood and vibration. Okay, so I love the mentor card and how it's paired with the chariot. And so I feel like this is about what we are learning from life and how we are working with the way that life is teaching us and embracing that or not. And I think that this is also about how effective we are as influences and leaders and teachers in our own lives and communities. And so I feel that the message was strongly, emphasizing and underscoring what the Torah portion was making its point about how when we embrace the way, like when we embrace life's challenges and the inevitable pain, like we can choose suffering, but we can't really avoid pain. That just comes to us, right? In life, no matter what. It's just part of being on earth. And so if we can embrace those times of difficulty and uncertainty or just annoyance or irritation or even moments that bring us anxiety, and we can say, okay, this is actually growing something in me that is actually wielding real treasure, because I am learning life skills through this experience that I can apply to anything forever from now on. It becomes part of my lived wisdom and experience and part of my strength and part of my perseverance. And I think that when we embrace those challenges, instead of bemoaning them, and even instead of saying, okay, I accept this challenge, but I'm going to pray my way out of it. I want it to be over. I'm going to accept it just so that I can hurry up and get it over with. Right. But instead, say, okay, I accept this. Like I actually just pray for the strength and to merit having the understanding of what this is trying to bring for me, what this is trying to do in me and create for me. Because clearly God is allowing this to happen for whatever reason, but something in this can catalyze a growth in me. A growth, that sounds like weird. But it can be like a catalyst for growth within and without, like within your outer life and within your inner life as well. And I think that when we do see that as not just inconvenience or being cursed and bemoaning our fates, but seeing it as actually a sacred gift, then I think that opens up the floodgates for grace to come in, and that kind of eases the situation. I think it elevates us above the struggle and helps us transcend and persevere, but it also helps us really find gratitude and helps us hold on to that acceptance and even build trust from there. There was something else. Oh, I was reading this book this morning by Matt Hussey. It's called Love Life, like Love Life, but also Love Life. And he started off as a dating coach for women, but his work is deeper than just dating. It's like relational intelligence and building core confidence and building a life that you love and learning what it is that you want in a partner. And it's deeper than just like dating advice. And really healthy and really good, really positive. So his book he was talking about how there were many years where he was suffering with chronic pain because he had tinnitus, and it would cause this ringing in his ear that would create this like pulsating, like horrible pain in his head. And he just felt like, and this was like chronic pain that kept coming up for years. He was dealing with this, and he just thought, oh, this is going to wreck my life. No one is going to ever want to be with me, that, someone who's in chronic pain all the time. And he just started becoming kind of hopeless, and he started losing, the hope that he would ever be able to like enjoy food and drinks again, because like he was like, I've never been a big drinker, but like when I like to like go have a good meal, I like a good glass of wine, I like a cocktail, like same as me. I really enjoy a drink, but I don't like drink a lot. And so he was like, what if I could never enjoy my food again? Because like certain foods and like any like little sip of alcohol would just like trigger the tinnitus, and it was horrible pain. And so he was like, I'm never going to meet anyone. I'm never going to enjoy food again. And he was like, basically, he was like, you know what? I just have to come to terms with this and just decide like my life is going to be lived for other people because I can't find any enjoyment or peace for anything. So the only reason I'm alive at this point is just because I'm not going to end my life, and I'm going to keep working for other people. I'm going to keep coaching and keep teaching and keep sharing. And hopefully one day, like it'll all, you know, kind of like maybe change, maybe not. And so I can't remember how he got through. I think he started going to a therapist, and they helped him come to this perspective about his pain. But he started writing down like these like he started realizing what the pain was doing for him. Like he was like, cuz he got determined. He was like, you know what? I'm not going to like sit back and like let my life pass me before my eyes. Like I'm just going to keep doing the things I love. I'm going to keep showing up for them, and I'm not going to let this pain rob me of everything that is good in my life. I'm just going to keep showing up with the pain. And he became resilient, and he became someone who could manage the pain and not let it overtake him completely. He realized that when he was at the worst parts of his pain, like he could remember that like it will pass and that it's not permanent. Like he would start catastrophizing in his mind. So there was just all kinds of things that he was able to apply during this time to help him in his mental health be able to process what was happening and cope with it, and still be able to push through and live and cultivate joy and cultivate inner peace, even with the pain present. And he was able to come to a point of peace with it and gratitude, even appreciation for it, for all the lifelong skills and virtues that it had given him, and he wouldn't have had those otherwise. And then he ended up meeting his wife, which when they were dating, he was struggling with the pain, but she was very understanding about it, very compassionate, would help him if he wanted her to help him find something, you know, like suggestions on, you know, possible treatments, or if, you know, he just wanted her to be with him and not like suggest, you know, whatever. She was just there. She had a lot of grace through it. She still had standards. But she proved him wrong. Like there was someone who was a beautiful, high value person who was everything he'd always dreamed of, who still was able to accept the fact that he had to struggle with this and it was going to be present in their lives. And I don't know, I guess they found a way. He doesn't talk about the chronic pain anymore, so I don't know if he still has it or not, but it seems like he's come to the other side of it and it's not an issue anymore. So, you know, same is true for like our own experiences in life. Like if we can, you know, look at them in a way that says, okay, this is maybe the adversary trying to challenge me, trying to ruin my life. But the creator can move through the situation and awaken in me my superpowers in this moment. And this can be the thing that pulls it out of me and that wouldn't have otherwise. Like I needed the pressure for the evolution to occur. And so if you can look for God in that way, not just whitewashing everything, saying like, oh, I guess this is just meant to be, or, well, it's God's will, so it must be good. You know, it's like, well, you know, all of this, it's like, instead of just like, reducing it or trivializing it or just like, you know, kind of like spiritually bypassing, it's like, it's more honest. It's like, okay, this is difficult, but I know that these things are difficult. The fire, the pressure is forging something in me priceless. And so I know that on the other side of this, I'm going to be a better, stronger, more resilient, more compassionate, understanding person because of it. And so then, you know, at that point, we can start to really like have the foresight of, instead of hindsight, and appreciate at least, or come to an inner peace or an acceptance of things as they're happening. And the presence of like wholeness and peace, shalom within us, that inner peace is the thing that opens up the gates for the healing and the miracles to come. So if we can cultivate that peace within, Part of it is through that embracing the process, whatever it is, and having that radical acceptance, and using it to be the resistance that becomes your workout, right? The water that you do the laps in, that creates the strength and the muscles and the respiratory capacity, right? The breaststroke. So yes, so the more we embrace, the more we kind of grab hold of life as a learning experience, then it teaches us so much more, but then we become so much more influential as a teacher, as an influence in our environment, as a person that can say something and it's received. And it's like, have you ever been, this has been me a lot of my life, where I say things and it doesn't land on like a receptive audience. And so like I'll point something out that I'm observing, and nobody else notices, or they don't get the concept, or they don't like understand, or they disagree, or they're like, yeah, or like the message just like gets lost in the fray of everything else. So you're like, oh, why am I not more influential? Or like you say you try to cultivate the right thoughts and emotions and the right mindset for like manifesting your desires, but it's like you're still not like effective at influencing the energy. So I think as the more that we embrace this process and the way that life presents this process to us, then I think that really gives us the inner peace within, and it moves a lot of the resistance out of the way. And God is like, okay, this is a righteous person. They understand that this is like valuable raw material to grow from. And so it gives us more momentum, more influence over vibration, more influence over energy, more influence over channeling our desires through, more influence over being convincing of other people of our ideas, right? And spreading our message, people thinking like, oh yeah, I agree, I'm with that, like, or hey, I like that ad campaign for your product, I like the way you're branding, whatever it is, it's going to become more effective. And then the prayer card over the Queen of Swords. Like the Queen of Swords has been coming out a lot lately. And I think it's about our ability to have clarity and like not have the wool drawn over our eyes, not second guess our impressions or our intuition about something. We're not second guessing the divine inspiration or our inner guidance. Like it's like, when we see something, it's like we see it for what it is, and we can name it clearly. We can articulate that. And so there is this sharp clarity that's coming through, like the sharpness of a sword. And I think that can either be something that can be wielded for precision and like pruning and doing the detailed work, or it can be dangerous and if used haphazardly, right? It can be harmful as well. So I think it's good that we're becoming more astute, but I think we just need to maybe soften the edges a little bit. Me more than anybody, trust me, because I can be very Queen of Swords and I can be pretty direct. But again, the prayer is like seeing the sacredness in this and bringing it in, like bringing a sense of a holy like touch to the thing and trying to help this sweeten and soften us inside. That's the whole point of it. So if we can build that clarity and have that clear voice of truth, right? Make straight the way for the king, right? Make straight the path for clarity and wisdom and goodness to come through without tearing things down. Clearly, giving a message or direction or even calling a spade, but we can do it like in a bit of a softer way. But like thinking, if you already approach the situation or the person that's antagonizing you or whatever is bringing the anxiety as like this sacred assignment, it's part of the assignment, then you can approach life as a living prayer, as a living devotion. And everything that you're doing, you start seeing through the perspective of, okay, God is with me through this. This is obviously part of the assignment of my soul, or I wouldn't be in it right now. So how do I navigate this in a sacred way, in a holy way, where it's me trying to become more righteous and more merciful and less on the path of judgment and calamity, right? And so understanding that this is where we are reborn, in that womb, in that crucible that melts that metal down, right? And then when it comes out of the crucible, it like is stronger, it gets poured into something, or it goes through a process where you purify the metals and you sift out the impurities, and it becomes purer and stronger the more you heat it and melt it and let it solidify again. The more you hammer it out and take it through the fire and hammer it again, it like becomes stronger and more finer. So we understand then, we have a different perspective of how we're looking at life. And we're like, okay, this is actually the thing that's really shaping me. And I can be, I can have a lot more, I can be more relaxed, and I can let go a little bit, and I can remember that you can be a charismatic person and also be fiery and straightforward and honest and be a good leader, but you can be the one that's holding the light in the darkness. And so what I love about the Queen of Wands is that she, much like the Queen of Swords, is not suffering any fools, but she's also like so magnanimous that it's like her warmth and her light are infectious either way. And so she knows how to deliver the thing that needs to be said with enough humor and charm to make it kind of like palatable for the receiver. So the Queen of Wands is like well-rounded. She can entertain, she can make people feel, warm and nurtured, just like the Queen of Pentacles. She can, entertain people and be charming and witty, and also be, have a lot of clarity and illumination, like the Queen of Swords. But the Queen of Wands is like somehow just like warmer. She's like the warm, charming, like kind of like life of the party of all the queens. So I think that's part of it. And the last thing that we have here is these two cards that were paired together. And we have the Queen card, which was also with us last week. And the Queen can be like kind of go one of two ways in this deck, where she is, the nurturer and the life giver. But the Queen can also be exacting, and the Queen can go dark and be a little bit like controlling or sharp, or feel like she loses her brightness and lightness with the weight of the crown. And so when she's feeling like she has to like do it all herself, and she gets to be resentful and controlling and all that stuff, it like kind of makes the Queen go dark instead of like being bright and nurturing. So I think in order to be on the bright and nurturing and prosperous, harmonious Queen, we have to like approach life with a bit of humor. And the comic can see the depths of life and many times illustrate them in a very philosophical, poetic way, but doing so by bypassing our defense mechanisms with humor and fun and warmth. I remember one time, this was like it's like over a decade ago. I remember I was watching America's Next Top Model. And yeah, I know a lot of like weird stuff has come out about how like bad that show was behind the scenes, but we didn't know that then. And I remember there was a photo shoot where there was this one guy who was just being like inappropriate with the female models. It was like he was a male model and they were having to like pose in such a way like for the picture, but he kept getting really fresh. And one of the models was like that he was doing it to was getting really uncomfortable, and she was really like freezing up, and it was causing the pictures to like the pictures in her like portfolio for that week were like uptight, and she didn't know how to like be firm and set a boundary without like feeling like she was gonna basically like put a damper on the whole shoot where he was gonna be all clammed up too. And so Tyra was trying to teach her how to keep it light. It was like a defense mechanism that all women have to learn. It's like how to set a boundary with someone and not piss them off. Because you don't know what kind of person you're dealing with, right? And so this situation was just for the photo shoot, but in some situations it's like kind of a means of survival. But she was joking around. She was like, hey, you know, like she was kind of like sassy and salty, like Tyra was like kind of replaying the situation with her without the dude there. And she was like, you know, something you could have done is like be like, you know, like, hey, don't you think you're like be like kind of like playful and still like a little bit saucy, but like not like heavy-handed and like like threatening or threatened, or, you know, it was like, I don't know, the way she was handling it, it was like it made her instantly say, this is the situation, this is the expectation, these are my boundaries, that you've crossed the line. It said a lot, but it was like in kind of a still a playful way that the guy was able to get all the message. He knew how to behave after that, because it wasn't anything like too serious and too, you know, inappropriate, but it was just enough where you're just like, this is making me uncomfortable. So it was like she was teaching her how to like do that in like from a place of like humor that was still strong enough to get the point across, but still be able to manage through the situation. And that might be not the best example because of just like how we like women have to like set pretty strong boundaries or like be clear in communicating like this kind of thing. And we're living in a world where the violence and the sexual kind of violence attitude towards women is amped up worse than we thought it was. I mean, like these stories coming out are just like, wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of people. Like, that's just like, you don't know, like, could be anybody around you, right? You know, so it's crazy. So, you know, but like, say for instance, if, you know, it's a work thing and it's like somebody's not doing their part, and you can kind of approach the situation from a playfulness, you know, or more humor, or like if you're going through like just one battle after another in your life and you're just like, well, here we go, you know, and you just try to carry it lightly and see the humor in things. I know for myself, like throughout all my life, no matter what I've been through, I've had humor with me, and it has helped me survive many situations. And even though sometimes it can range on like being on the edge of like a defense mechanism, which I think humor can be an unhealthy defense mechanism, and it can be a form of avoidance of absolving yourself of responsibility. Like you can be too flippant or not take something seriously enough, or, you know, people can use like kind of sarcasm and it's very biting and it can put someone down. So I think that those are where it goes like unhealthy. But I think that you can use humor to find a way to laugh in any situation that can help you. It can help you stay buoyant enough to get through it. For instance, I don't think I've ever been to one single wake or funeral or after funeral, you know, shiva, where you're like, you don't have some moment where somebody makes a joke and everybody laughs. And it's just like something that's so needed. You're just like, oh my gosh, everybody needed that laugh. And like, there have been times where I've been, you know, having to go through like probation or something, and you have to go to report and do a thing, and everybody's there and everybody's miserable about it. And if you can be the person that like just makes it fun, then you're like, oh my God, this is actually a fun time. Like, you know, or like if you've ever been to traffic school and there's like the question and answer, and it's like one of those things where like you're all in the room together and you're all participating as a group. It's like you can be the fun one. You can make it a decent time, you know. So that's how I have pretty much survived my life. And even in the roughest times, I can usually find something to laugh at myself about, and it gives me just enough gas to get through the next moment. All right. Well, I think that's all for tonight. I think we are embracing the growth opportunities with radical acceptance. I think that we're finding grace to sort of get through it in more harmony and ease with humor and lightness, but also taking it seriously enough to say, okay, this is like a living prayer, my living devotion. And every little bit of effort that I make, to change my attitude, to change my outlook, to change the way that I show up and behave. Every little bit of that is part of that devotion. It's part of like a living, moving prayer. And so when we see it as sacred and we take it seriously, then we become more influential. We learn from the situation. And then we have something that we can then share and teach and pass on to others in the same situation or similar situations. And I think that this is going to give us a lot of momentum, and it's going to bring a lot of things into balance. Like when you look at the charioteer, it's like a lot of times the original artwork is a charioteer that has two horses. And that's what I don't like about this card, because they don't have the two horses, the black and white. Because what the thing is with that is that the charioteer is holding the reins to balance the right hand and the left hand, to be central column, to practice restriction, to where you're focused and you're not being jerked this way and that way by life's changes and ups and downs, but you can stay steady and you can hold on to both the positive energy, flow of energy, and the negative flow of energy in life. And you can stay balanced between that, and you can keep your energies balanced. And that keeps the chariot not only like on the road and in between the lanes, but it gives you more speed when you're like balanced and focused and you have everything, in harmonious order together. Whereas if you're not, your horses are all over the place, the life's bringing you, jerking you around, and you're affected and you're reactive, and the defense mechanisms are going and the unconscious patterns, and which wreaks havoc, right? So that's that. All right, y'all, that's all for tonight. Peace. Tomorrow we will be back together for our weekly manifestation oracle message, where we will be kind of looking at our approach to our desires and our goals and checking in with that. All right. Peace. Ciao.